Thank you. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayani Amba Tvamanusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidut sura surgana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So last week, the topic that was covered was that if you think you are not going to fight because of wrong understanding of why this war is not for personal gain or territory, but it is for dharma. But if you think you are not going to fight, not going to do your duty, but Prakriti, your nature will propel you, because by birth you are a Kshatriya, you have been trained as a Kshatriya all these years. And you know that your family has been subjected to a lot of injustice from your cousins. So if you don't fight now, when you leave this battle and go to the forest to meditate as you want to do, then you will regret it, that I had this opportunity to punish Duryodhana and Karna, and why didn't I do that? So better take care of it right now, because later on it won't be any use for you to get angry at the plants or at the trees. That's what you will do, because your nature is to fight. And Bhagavan then also gave two beautiful shlokas. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshir junatishthati Ramyan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani maya. Ishvara is the Lord within us. Just as a piece of machinery has the pulley or the main wheel in the middle, because of that, the whole piece of machinery moves. Similarly, Ishvara is in the heart of every one of us. You can say as electricity or as the pulley which holds the whole machine together. So Brahmyan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. Just as an equipment is moved by the electricity, by that. So same way Ishvara is in the heart of all and moving us causing all our activities. Whatever we are doing, it is the energy behind. And the choice we have is how to use that energy that Bhagwan is giving us. And that he says, Tameva Sharnam Gacha Sarva Bhavena Bharata Tat Prasadat Param Shantim Sthanam Prapsyasi Shashvatam. And if you take refuge in the Lord, that is within and outside, Sharanam Gacha, and completely with all your being, then because of the grace of that Ishvara, you will get not only peace in this world, but you will get the highest goal. So the highest goal of life is enlightenment, and that you will get when you surrender to this Ishvara. So here we see that a lot of the teaching has been ended of the 18th chapter. And there are a few more points that Bhagwan wants to cover before he ends the teaching. And then after we end the 18th chapter, as we mentioned, we'll start again from chapter number 1. We'll start with Gita Dhyanam and then chapter number 1, so that because a lot of new people, and chapter 1 we did about 8-10 years ago, so most of us have forgotten it. So we'll start again next week, not next week, but in about 3 to 4 weeks. It'll take about 3 weeks or so to finish the 18th chapter. So today he is going to tell us that what is this knowledge, why is it important, and then some of the very powerful shlokas will be covered today. And Bhagavan will summarize the entire 18 chapters in 2 shlokas. So we'll be covering those today. So we'll start with shloka number 63, chapter 18, shloka 63. Iti te jnanamakyatam guhyad guhyataram maya vimrishaitadasheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. Together. Iti te jnanamakyatam guhyad guhyataram maya vimrishaitadasheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. Very beautiful. Iti means in this way. Iti also means that the teaching is now ending. That's why at the end we say, no, Om Tat Sad Iti. So Iti means in this way I have told you, and which is I'm going to summarize. Take this jnanam akyatam. Akyatam means has been said. Akyatam in Punjabi also say na akhi. I have told him akyatam. Man anu akyasi. So that comes from this Sanskrit. So this knowledge akyatam has been explained to you. And guhya guhyataram, and it is more secret. Guhya means secret. Guhyataram means more secret. Even more secret than secret. This knowledge has been given by me, Maya, by me, third case, Ekvachan. And what does he say? Having given this knowledge, what am I telling you to do? Vimrisha. Vimrisha means remember, contemplate upon it. Again and again, think about it. Etat, this knowledge. Not only what I have told you in the last few shlokas, but from the second chapter, everything that I have been telling you, Bhagwan says to Arjuna, Asheshana, remember it completely, remember it fully. And Arjuna was a good student. He actually did remember and did ask very pertinent questions. So he says, remember this knowledge and contemplate upon it. See, we, like even in this class, we hear certain things about the Bhagavad Gita, about this chapter. So it should not happen. Okay, I close the book and now next Sunday I will open the Gita again, 18th chapter. During the week, every opportunity you get, try to read the shlokas. If you have Swami Chinmayananda's commentary, some of you have it, read that commentary. Also, this recording is placed on firstpower.info. Amit is doing that. So you can go to firstpower.info and re-listen to this and other shlokas. So contemplate on it. And then Bhagavan is a very powerful statement. Yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. As you wish, you do it. So Bhagavan nowhere in the Gita says that I am God and I am telling you and you have to do it. If you don't do it, thou shalt suffer in hell, or no, none of that. He says, I am giving you the knowledge and I'm giving you the choices. See, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he will say, if you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, that will happen. If you follow my advice, this will happen. If you don't follow, that will happen. But the choice is yours. So nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan is exerting his authority that I am the supreme Lord of the universe. And if I am telling you, how are you not listening? So the first point is that they say it is guhya. This knowledge is secret. So this word secret has been misunderstood by some people in India, some pandits who know Sanskrit used to. They would say, oh, this knowledge is secret, only to be told to a few pandits, only to be taught in Sanskrit. Nobody should explain it in English. And they kept this knowledge hidden for many, many, many thousands of years or hundreds of years, this Gita and the Upanishadic knowledge, because very few people could speak Sanskrit. And then it was Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda around 1950 who started teaching this in English. And he said, I want to make it available, not only in India, but he traveled throughout the world in different countries to spread this knowledge. Because this knowledge is not to be kept. You know, some of the people, what they do with religious books, they buy them, they wrap it in a silk cloth and put it in the temple, and then daily they do arti and puja. That's, yeah, you have to respect the book, but that's not the purpose of the book. The purpose of the book is to get this knowledge. So those who opposed Gurudev, people opposed him that why are you teaching in English? Ultimately, he spoke all over the country. Everybody was understanding it. Actually, this started with Swami Vivekananda ji in 1890, and then for a while there was not any great teacher. I mean, Lokmanya Tilak also, wrote it, but then it didn't become widespread until Puja Gurudev in 1950. Swami Chinmayananda ji started spreading this knowledge, and now all over the world we have hundreds of Chinmaya Mission centers, study groups, classes like these, Bal Vihar, all that is happening. So one way it could remain a secret is you keep it in a silk cloth and don't even read it. Or even if you read it, you don't have a mahat, you don't have the value for this mahat. You say, Are, it's an old teaching, 5,000 years ago, somebody told this to Arjuna. So how is it going to apply to my life? It's not practical. But there is nothing more practical than the Bhagavad Gita. No other text in the world has that much practical application, a spiritual text, which is totally from day one we can apply in our life. Every word of it is very applicable. So we don't have value for it. Or even if we have value for this teaching, we say, Bhagavan says, surrender to me, Tameva Sharnam Gacha, surrender to that Supreme Lord, that is me. So how can I surrender? It's very hard. We all have this ego that I am somebody special. And why should I surrender to anybody else? I know what I'm doing and I know what. So this ego gets in the way, this idea, and that why the teaching remains a secret. The only way the teaching can become applicable to us is we listen to it, understand it, and contemplate upon it. And that's why he says, Vimrisha, remember it, think about it again and again, and completely. Don't take, sometimes people take one shloka or one idea from the Bhagavad Gita out of context and say, Are Bhagavan said this here and then that there. It appears that sometimes contradictory ideas, but when you combine the two and all of them, and when you have a teacher like Swami Chinmaya who can explain this to us, then we realize that this is all one unbroken thread, right from second chapter to 18th chapter. Bhagwan is continuing this thread of teaching. So contemplate upon it. Contemplate upon it, think about it, and think how this Bhagavad Gita I can apply in my life. So anytime I have a doubt, I have a difficulty, think what is the Bhagavad Gita saying about it. And that way we will be guided by the Supreme Lord himself, because it was from Bhagwan's mouth that this knowledge came. So there is a Mahat Buddhi. It's not told by any human being, or it is told by the Lord himself. And then Bhagavan says, Yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. Whatever you wish, you do it. So he has given the clear choice. And that's why people say, oh, why is there so much suffering in the world if God is there? Why, there are good people and bad people, and why, so much sorrow, suffering, war? If God says he will come, why doesn't he come and remove all that? Bhagwan has given freedom to humans. Humans have the ability to think, have given us intellect. We not only have a body, mind, but we have an intellect. We have intelligence. And with the body, I work with the worldly objects. With the mind, I feel emotions. And with the intellect, I think thoughts. So I have the ability to think, and I have the knowledge. And the knowledge is in the scriptures, whether it's in the Bhagavad Gita, whether it's in Ramayana, Mahabharata, whether it's in Bible, Quran. This knowledge is there. All we have to do is understand it, interpret it correctly. And then whether to use it or not use it, only human beings have a choice. Animals, birds, plants do not have choice. They follow their nature. But only humans have the ability to choose. So he says, choose the right path. And that can only happen when we have understood the message of the Bhagavad Gita. And what obscures God's presence from us is these vasanas, these tendencies. Because of my vasanas, I'm not able to see God in me, which is Om. Last week she had covered Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, Hriday Shirjuna. That is Om. That is the Atma, the consciousness. That is God's presence in all of us. And the reason I'm not able to contact God within is because of our vasanas, our tendencies. So the goal of spiritual knowledge is to reduce vasanas and then connect with God's presence within, which is the constant, which even today in our meditation class, we discussed the same thing. So he says, Yate chasi tatha kuru. Why is he saying that? Because he says, make the right choice, but do not become fanatic. See, what happens is when people don't understand the scriptures very well, then they become fanatic. Oh, whoever doesn't believe me should be killed and should be, all that. So that is not the teaching of the masters, of the teachers. It is our misunderstanding that leads to fanaticism, hatred, because ultimately there is one God in everybody. How can I hate anyone? When I hate anyone, I'm hating God. And when I punish anyone, I'm punishing God. So that's what they say, that become a true believer, true understanding of this knowledge, not a fanatic, not an incomplete knowledge. Then the next shlokas, 2-3 shlokas, we see Bhagwan's extreme compassion. See, even though he has given this teaching many times, but he wants to make sure that we don't misunderstand. And in 2 or 3 shlokas, he will explain this clearly. The whole 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, he will summarize out of compassion for us. He doesn't say, oh, I have taught you already, jao, chale jao. No, he says, if you haven't understood, I am here to explain again. And that's what Bhagwan's speciality in the Bhagavad Gita is, that he important ideas, he will repeat to make sure that we have understood. As they say, like when you want to hammer a nail, one time it doesn't go. You hammer, hammer, hammer many times, and then it sinks deep into the wood. So similarly, this knowledge Bhagwan is hammering till it sinks into our brain. But that is out of compassion. So we'll do shloka number 64. Sarvaguhyatamam bhuyah Shrunu me paramam vachah Ishtosi me dridhamiti Tato vakshyami te hitam Sarvaguhyatamam bhuyah Shrunu me paramam vachah Ishtosi me dridhamiti Tato vakshyami te hitam. So Bhagwan says this knowledge, which is, first he had said more secret than the secret. Now he says it is the supreme secret. Supreme secret means this is the highest knowledge which has been kept secret, but now I am revealing it to you. Kept secret means it's not that the rishis and the Mahatmas didn't explain, but our mind was not ready. Same thing Arjuna. Arjuna had been with Bhagwan Sri Krishna for so many years since childhood. They were friend and then brother-in-law, and they were always together. But Bhagwan never said, okay, Bajaj, sit down, I'll teach you Bhagavad Gita. He didn't, even though Bhagwan knew that this student needs the knowledge. It's only when Arjuna finally surrenders and says, Shishyasteham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. He says in the second chapter that I am your disciple, karpanya dosho pahata svabhava, prichami tvam dharma sammudha cheta. I do not know what is my dharma, what is my duty, what should I do? And my mind is confused. And only you, Bhagwan, can remove my doubt, my confusion, because in the first chapter we see that in Arjuna's confusion, he did not know why he should fight the war, and he was finding all reasons and how the war will create problems. That is true, war creates problems, but when the country is ruled by evil people, and if they are allowed to continue, then the country will suffer. And Bhagwan had tried every way to create peace. He had even gone personally to Duryodhana and said, you give them what they deserve, even give them 5 villages. And Duryodhana said, I won't even give enough land on the tip of a needle, even though half the kingdom, actually the whole kingdom belonged to the Pandavas. But Bhagwan said, give half. Okay, don't want to give half, give 5 villages. He says, no, I won't even give the tip of a needle. If they are Kshatriyas, if they want their kingdom, let them fight. So that's why he says this knowledge is supremely secret, means even after explaining, people don't understand this. So bhuyaha, so again, I am explaining this to you. So we find that in the next 2 shlokas, he will summarize. So bhuyaha means again I am explaining. And shrunu means listen. So one is hear. And in English, there's a word hear. And then there's a word listen. Hear means, goes through one ear out through the other. Listen means pay attention to what I am saying. Whenever he uses the word shrunu means listen to my paramam vacha. I'm telling you this supreme words, supreme knowledge I'm going to reveal to you. which I have revealed before, but I am repeating it. And why am I doing it? Arjuna, he asked Arjuna, you know why I am doing it? Ishtosi, you are my beloved. Ishta means you are my beloved. You are supremely dear to me. Dridhamiti, Dridha means you are extremely dear to me. See, that's what he says. And why? We'll talk about that. Ishtosi me dridhamiti, you are extremely dear to me. Tataha, therefore, vakshyami te hitam. Vakshyami means I am telling you for your benefit. It's not that Bhagavan said, I'll gain anything by it. You have asked me, so I'm giving you this knowledge because this will help you in conducting the rest of your life and will also take you to the highest goal of enlightenment. So it is Paramam Vacha, it is my supreme knowledge. It is not only useful in the war, in your conduct, but will take you to the highest. So as we said, again means he wants to understand, the student to completely understand, and he is summarizing. Now, why is Arjuna dear to him? Because he has surrendered. In Srimad Bhagavad, it is said, Prapannaya, even if the student one time surrenders to the teacher, just one time, then the teacher's duty is to teach. The teacher does not have a choice because the student has surrendered. And after that, the student may or may not, but he says, once he has surrendered, then the teacher is obligated to teach. That is the spiritual knowledge. It's not that the teacher has a choice, and it's not that the teacher is being paid. All he is asking for is surrender and be willing to accept, because knowledge can only go from higher to a lower, like water can go from higher level to a lower level. It cannot go from lower to higher. It needs a pump and all. But normally water will flow downward. Similarly, knowledge will go downward if the student is willing to accept the knowledge. And why is he says, you are extremely dear to me? We say, oh, God loves all of us. Why does he love Arjuna more? Why he's saying, you are my extremely dear? So the example, they say like teacher, when he's teaching in a class or when she's teaching in a class, and there are 50 students, in a classroom. And then there are some students who sit in the back of the class and they don't even listen to the teacher, don't pay attention. They are talking with each other, throwing, rubber or pencil or making airplanes. And then there are a few students sitting in the front row who are paying full attention, taking notes, asking questions, which Arjuna was. We see that throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he asks very pertinent question, which means he's paying attention. So who will be the favorite of the teacher? It's not that she starts with all 50 students the same, but as the year goes by, those are students in the back who have no interest. She said, nothing I can do for them. She's not going to force them. She'll say they won't get the good marks. They might get an E or an F in the final exam. So teacher is not being favorite, and the one who's sitting in the first row will get A plus. It is based on their ability and based on how much attention they have paid. So Arjuna was one of those first row A plus students who listened with full attention. He had surrendered to Bhagwan. He asked pertinent questions. And we will see at the end of this chapter, he will say, okay, I will do what you say. So he is the one who is willing. So such a person is the one to whom the knowledge is revealed. And not only revealed, but we see in Bhagwan's case, not only he is revealing the knowledge, but he said, for such a student, I'll do anything, including driving his chariot. See, Bhagwan, who is the Lord of the universe, becomes his chauffeur and sits in front where all the arrows come. He has no weapons. And even if he's not Lord of the universe, he was king of Dwarka. So as a king of Dwarka, to ask him to become my chauffeur, what Bhagwan is willing. He says, Arjuna is my student. He needs help. And Arjuna says, I don't need your weapons. I just need you to be with me and drive my chariot. And Bhagavan says, yeah, he ishtom isi. You are my dear to me, and I'll do whatever. So he's telling us for our benefit. So here, this knowledge is not given to Arjuna for Arjuna's benefit. It is given to Arjuna for our benefit. And that is how we should take this knowledge, that this is Bhagwan is talking to me, not talking to Arjuna, not talking to anybody else, talking to me. And Swami Chinmayananda, we should be grateful that he has interpreted this knowledge for us. So now what is this knowledge and what is the summary in the next two shlokas? We'll see how Bhagwan has summarized the entire Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters in two shlokas. Even if these two shlokas, if we memorize and apply, that is enough. Not that one should not read the entire Bhagavad Gita, try to understand. But if you want, you say, okay, give me a capsule summary, Bhagwan, what have you talked about? And Gurudev says in his commentary, Arjuna was a warrior. He said, now I'm ready to fight. You tell me in some short what you want me to do. So here we see in shloka number 65. Manmana bhava mad bhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me manmana bhava mad bhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. A similar shloka had appeared in the 9th chapter. So Bhagwan had made little bit change in it and to re-emphasize the point. Very, very beautiful shloka. He says, Man mana bhava. Mana means mind. So man mana means one who has put his mind in me, bhava, become that. So become the one who has put his mind, means put your mind in me. Man mana bhava. Then mad bhaktaha bhava. He doesn't repeat it, but it is understood. Become my devotee. Bhakta means devotee. So surrender to me, put your mind in me. Madhyaji. Madhyaji means sacrifice for me. Yajna means to do worship. That means when you worship me, but also means sacrifice. So all your sacrifices should be for me. All your offerings should be for me. And sacrifice your wrong ideas in the right idea of knowledge. That's why Puja Gurudev called them Gita Gyan Yagna. Those who were in Bombay, in India in the 60s, 70s, 80s might have heard this word. Gita Gyana Yagna. Gita Gyana means knowledge. Yagna means offering in the fire. So what he was saying that in this Gyana Yagna, in this teaching, offer your ignorance in the fire of knowledge. So he says, offer that and Mam Namaskuru, and surrender to me, bow down to me. And why does he say Mama or Aham? Because he is representing the Supreme Lord. He says, in me is the Supreme Bhagwan, the Supreme Consciousness manifesting in me. So when I speak, it's not only the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, but it is the Supreme Lord that is talking. That's why in the 11th chapter, he shows him the Virat Roop, where Bhagwan himself is there. And in that form of the Lord, Arjuna can see the entire universe, even the heaven, hell, and the past, present, future, everything. So to show that I am that Supreme Lord. So he says, put your mind in me, become my devotee, sacrifice for me, and bow down to me. And then what will happen? Mam eva aishyasi. You will reach me alone. Satyamte, that is the truth. See, when there is some person, you want to reach that person, what do? You surrender and you say, okay, I want to know you, I want to reach you. So same way for Bhagwan, it is important for us to give up our ego, because we think that I know it, and that I know it has to go, and only Bhagwan knows and his teaching. So that understanding, when we get that I do not know and only Bhagwan knows, and he is giving me this knowledge, and contemplate upon it, put your mind in Bhagwan all the time, worship him, pray to him, do all sacrifices for him, and that for this knowledge I'm willing to sacrifice everything and prostrate. That's why when we go to the temple, we do namaskar to Bhagwan. The idea is that I surrender my ego to you, God. Only then knowledge will come. Same thing if we go to a college or a school or university. If we have arrogance that I already know it, you're not going to learn. You have to say, I don't know, and teacher, teach me. So same way, Arjuna, he says, if you come to me with that understanding, then pratijane, I promise you will reach me. So nowhere else in the Gita he has said it that clearly, that if you do these things, I promise you will reach me. So pratijane means he's giving us a personal promise. So if we follow this, put our mind in God, become his devotee, sacrifice for him and surrender to him, we will reach him. So this is basically a stepwise, that if you do these 4 things, you will reach me. And why? Again, priyosime, you are my dear. So again and again, Bhagwan is expressing his love for Arjuna and for students who are ready to listen to this knowledge sincerely. He will tell in the next few shlokas that those who listen to this knowledge sincerely are also very dear to me. Also in this man mana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru, all the 4 yogas are covered. Man mana means jnana yoga, put your mind in me. Bhakta is bhakti yoga. And madhyaji, sacrifice for me, is karma yoga. And mam namaskuru, merge yourself in me, is dhyana yoga, meditation. So we see jnana yoga, bhakti, karma yoga, and the yoga of meditation, all 4 covered in these 4 words. And what it does when we do that, our mind, which is caught in the cocoon of vasanas, of all our negative tendencies, the vasana will dissolve and we become one with that Supreme Lord. So that is required. We have to dissolve our vasanas in our cocoon and develop reverence for God, reverence for this knowledge. And Sharnam, Tameva Sharnam Gacha, he had said in the last week, Sudaji covered. So take refuge in me, surrender in me, and then I will take you across. He says, na, Bhagwan meri naiya us par laga le jana. Ab tak to nibhaya hai, aage bhi nibha dena. Bhagwan says, I am ready to take you across this ocean of samsara. All you have to do is sit in my boat and say, okay, Bhagwan, you can take me. Even in the Gita Dhyanam, he says that Pandavas were faced with so many problems. Karna, Duryodhana, Bhishma, Drona. They were all greater warriors than Arjuna. They were all Bhishma, Drona, Karna. Nobody in the Pandava army could have defeated them. It was only Bhagwan who took them across. So he says, Pratijane priyosi me, you are my dear, and that's why I surrender to you. Now this next shloka is probably the most famous. There are 2 shlokas that are most famous. One is Karma Yoga, Karmanye Vadika Raste Mahaphaleshu Kadachana. We did that in the Gita chanting in the 2nd chapter. And Ma Karma Phala Hechur Bhuhu Mate Sangostva Karmani. That comes in the 2nd chapter. And in the 18th chapter is the shloka number 66. So these two shlokas, when anybody, you ask Bhagavad Gita, these two shlokas, everybody knows. Karmanyavadikaraste mapal. And now this one is shloka number 66. It is also, these two are the most famous shlokas out of the 700. So shloka number 66. Sarvadharman parityajya Mamekam sharanam vraja Aham tva sarva papebhyah Moksha ishyami ma shuchah Sarvadharman parityajya Mamekam sharanam vraja Aham tva sarva papebhyah Moksha ishyami ma shuchah. Let's repeat it again. This is the very famous shloka. So let's chant. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah moksha ishyami ma shuchah. So sarva dharman means all dharmas. So what is the meaning of the word dharma? It's not only religion, but has many meanings. So we'll talk about that. So sarva dharman, all dharmas. You say, what do you mean all dharmas? So we'll talk about that in the commentary. Tyajya means having given up. Parityajya means completely given up. Pari means from all sides. So in every way, give up all your other dharmas. And what do you do? Mam ekam, to me alone. Ekam, to me alone. Sharanam vraja, come to my refuge. So giving up all other dharmas, come to my refuge alone. Take only me as your refuge. And why should I do that, Bhagwan? Why should I give up everything else and come to you? He says, Aham tva, I to you, sarva papebhyah. Papebhyah means from all papas. This, sarva, aham tva sarva papebhyah is the fifth case, bahuvachan. So from all papas, moksha ishyami, I will relieve you from all sins, all problems, all difficulties, all negativities, ma shuchaha. Do not worry. So this is a very, very powerful mantra, and we'll spend more time studying it. So he says, give up all dharmas completely, come to me, and I will relieve you from all negativities, all papas, all sins. So the last line word is shucha. Now, Bhagwan in the second chapter, when he first started the teaching to Arjuna, he started with Ashocyananvashocastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasu nagatasuncha nanushocanti panditaha. So Ashocyan. So he says, you are worrying about that which should not be worried about. Ashocyan anvashocastvam. You are worrying. And now he says ma shucha. So he is connecting the from second to the 18th chapter. Bhagwan has not forgotten what he had spoken and what the thread was. Otherwise, what happens is that we start talking and then next we start going somewhere else, and third, and then we say, oh, I myself don't know what I'm speaking. So Bhagwan has kept the thread of the teaching throughout from second to the 18th chapter. So ma shucha means do not worry. Why do we worry? We worry when we don't have the right understanding, we don't have the right knowledge, or when we get problems in our life. So he says, with this right knowledge, you will not have problems. Now, what he's saying is sarva dharman, give up all dharmas, sarva. He says, give up all dharma means I should not practice dharmas. No. So the word dharma has so many meanings. Actually, if you look at the Sanskrit dictionary, if you see that there's about 100 or so meanings of word dharma, and then they say etc., etc. Dharma has so many meanings. Dharma, one meaning is religion. It is my religion, Hindu dharma, Isai dharma, like that. Then dharma also means what is my duty. They say, like, what do you call, grahast ashram dharma. What is the duty of a householder or a brahmacharya dharma? Or what is the duty of a student? A student's duty is different from a householder's. Householder is different from retired. And then retired is different from sannyasi. So there are four, brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. There are four stages in our life. So each one has its own dharma, has its own duty. So dharma is also translated as duty. Dharma is translated as religion, as the teaching of the masters. But in this context, Gurudev in his commentary says it that dharma is the essential nature of a substance. So like, what is the dharma of fire? It is heat, right? If there is no heat, then you're not going to call it fire. But the fire could have different, appearances. It could be a tall fire, it could be a short fire. If you put different chemicals, it can be blue fire or yellow fire or red or orange. The colors may be different, the shape may be different, the size may be different. But what is the essential quality of fire? Heat. If there is no heat, there is no fire, heat and light. So that is the essential. Or like sugar. Now, sugar can be different shapes and sizes. You can have white sugar, brown sugar, crystal sugar, powdered sugar, and those big mishri, what we call those big pieces of sugar. But they might be different shape, size, color. But what is the essential nature of sugar? Sweetness. If it's not sweet, it's not sugar. In fact, in India, you can get that alum, which they call patkadi. Some of you may have, when you dip it in the water, it becomes antiseptic. And that looks exactly like, sugar. But when you taste it, it's bitter. So you say, even though it looks like sugar, it's not sugar. So that which has the quality of sweetness alone, you can call sugar. So same way, what is the essential nature of me? See, we say I am this body, mind, and intellect, and we have duties for the body, we have duties for the mind, we have duties for the intellect. But these are all changing. My body is changing, my mind is changing, my ideas are changing. But what is constant is Om, the life principle, the consciousness. So all other duties are secondary. The most important duty is to my own self, that is God within. And I should always remember that I am divine. God is with me. So I should do duties that take me towards that. So that's why Bhagwan, Gurudev says that my main essence of myself is Om, is consciousness, is Bhagwan. For a Krishna Bhakta, you can say Krishna, for a Shiva Bhakta, Shiva, but it is the life principle, the consciousness. And so that is called as Atma, the self. And our duties are towards our ego. I want to do this, I want to do that. But my main duty should be towards the self. That means my main purpose of life is to reach God within and to know God outside. Everything else is secondary, but we spend so much time in physical, taking care of the body, and then taking care of my emotions and my ideas, and on the internet. And we spend so much time, physically getting comfort, more money, more wealth, bigger house for the body. And then I want more friends, more relations for the mind, and more ideas and thoughts. But our duty to Bhagwan, to our true self, is nature, is neglected. And we leave that for the last. Today I'm busy, I don't have time to do puja, or I'm too busy. Who's going to sit 20 minutes in the morning for meditation, or half an hour, 1 hour? Teacher says in the evening, study the Bhagavad Gita. I say, I am so busy. You don't know how busy I am. And then when a phone call comes, We easily can talk for half an hour without any problem. Or on the internet, we will just be surfing unnecessarily, just searching and worried about what is happening in Louisiana or what is happening in Africa. Not that one should not know, but spending all our time in worrying about who did what to who. And nowadays with internet, even one person gets killed or murdered, the whole world comes to know, and then you sit and talk about it and you say, what the tragedy happened in Africa. Array, it happened, it's a tragedy, but don't spend too much time on this. So that is what they say. And that's what Bhagavan says, Mam eva, come to me alone, and I will save you from all your negative actions. Aham tva sarva papebhyah. Know me as yourself, and I will save you. So the example they gave is Karna. Karna in the war with Arjuna, that was towards the end of the war. His wheel got stuck in the mud, and Karna got down to and Karna was a greater warrior than Arjuna. Arjuna wouldn't have been able to defeat him. And he was taking his wheel out, and Bhagavan says, shoot him. He says, Bhagavan, this is against dharma. His wheel is stuck. I want him to get up on the chariot. Only then I will fight with him. So Bhagavan, and even Karna says, that dharma of Kshatriya, you cannot shoot somebody when he's down. You wait for me to come up. So Bhagavan asks Karna, okay, you are talking about dharma of Kshatriya. Where was the dharma of Kshatriya when you all took off Draupadi's clothes in the assembly? Where was dharma when you cheated the Pandavas and took away their kingdom? Where was your dharma when you set fire to their house and almost killed them? It was Krishna who had told them that this is going to happen. And where was the dharma when, this is for Arjuna, was very important. He said, when Abhimanyu was a young boy, single warrior, and one warrior has to fight one warrior, right? That is the dharma of Kshatriya. How many of you were 14 warriors? One couldn't defeat him, even though he was a young boy. None of you could defeat him. All 14 of you surrounded him. Everybody was there, Drona and Karna and all the warriors were there, and every one of them, Kripacharya and all of them, Jarasan, all the greatest warriors of the Kauravas. One young boy, they couldn't defeat him. They all had to get together, and finally they killed him. They broke his chariot. He says, where was your dharma? You were also there. You fought with Abhimanyu. That for Arjuna said, yes, these guys have from childhood, they have, not followed any dharma. And Bhagavan says, now all of a sudden, tujhe dharma yaad aa gaya. Now you remember dharma. All these lifetime you didn't do that. And then Arjuna. So the point is, Bhagavan says, Arjuna, shoot him. Even if it is wrong, I'll protect you. I am protecting you from all dharma. I'm telling you to do it because I am the abode of dharma. So that's why he says, Aham tva sarva papebhyah. Anything you think you may have done wrong, I will protect you. Ma shucha, and be steadfast and make me your goal. And me alone. So talking about steadfast, I'll end with this beautiful story. So Tukaram, as you all know, was a great saint. And throughout life, he had a lot of hardship, and people tortured him and tried to even, put his books in the river, and Bhagavan protected. Even in the river, the books came out dry. All his books and writings, everything they tried. And they treated him so badly, but he never deviated from the path. But one thing about him, he was not interested in money, not interested in work. He says Panduranga, that's all. Even when he was given jobs, he would be spending his time thinking about God. And his wife had a hard life, because obviously this guy was not interested in work, not interested. Like even Narsi Mehta also, we find that he never bothered about money. So finally, Tukaram was about to give up his body, and it is said that Vishnu Bhagavan sent his dutas, his people to take him, and the beautiful chariot came from Vaikuntha to take him. physically, and then he was going to go there and get moksha, never come back, get complete enlightenment. So he's ready to board the chariot. They say, come on, your time is up, you are supposed to give up your body, come with us. So he said, you know what, can you do me a favor? So they say, what? He says, can I take my wife with me? She has suffered all these years, and I have not been a very good husband. But now we are getting a chance to go to Vaikuntha Loka and enjoy all the joys and then go beyond this cycle of birth and death. He said, you will never be born again. Once you go there, you will stay with Vishnu Bhagwan, because Panduranga is an avatar of Vishnu. So you will stay with him and you will remain in eternal bliss and merge with him, become one with him. So he says, can I take my wife with me? So they said, yeah, sure, okay. Normally we don't do that, but since you have been such a great devotee, you can take your wife. So they said, but go ask her, does she want to come or not? He said, of course she will want to come, to go to Vaikuntha Loka and live forever and go beyond cycle of birth and death. Of course she will want to come. So they say, okay, go ask her. If she wants to come, we'll take her. We have one more space in the chariot, no problem. So he goes to the wife and says, we have this great office. It's like, you get a scholarship to go to America in the olden days, and you can take your wife with you. Wow, so great. So he said, we have a scholarship to go to Vaikuntha. You can come with me. So she says, no, not yet. He said, what do you mean not yet? He said, well, the cow is going to deliver next month. So I want to stay and help the cow to deliver. And then our children, I want them to get married. And then I want to see my grandchildren. After all that is done, then so, so the point is that we are not that serious about this path. Even when this whole teaching is given, Bhagwan himself is telling, but we don't. So what they're saying is you have to be steadfast. That once I have this knowledge, I'm going to study it, revise it again, study it again, apply it, and take every opportunity to practice that. But when it comes time, we find everything else is more important than spirituality. My cow, my children, my grandchildren. And for us, it is, if not cow, it is my house, my 401k, my car, everything else is more important than religion, than spirituality. So that's what Bhagavan says, that you have to surrender to me, then iske baad it's my duty. You give up everything else, make me your goal, and then I will carry you. I will send you that chariot from, Vaikuntha. I'll do whatever is needed. So that is the essence of this very, very beautiful shloka, that we have time for everything else, physical, mental, intellectual, but we don't have time for God. Bhagavan says, give up all others and come to me. Then it is my duty. Why? Because you are dear to me. Ishtosi, he says. You are priyosi, ishtosi. You are most dear to me. So we'll end here. A very, very beautiful shloka and very famous. So we can chant again. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah moksha ishyami ma shuchah. So don't worry, Bhagwan says. Don't worry, I am here. I'm here to take care of you. Just come to me. And that's all he says. And that's we'll end here. Very, very beautiful. And now after this, the major teaching is over. Then Bhagwan will tell us who is best student of this knowledge, what is the qualities of a good student, and what is the qualities of a not so good student. And we have to see where we fit in what department. And then he will talk about the glory of end of this, that what is the glory of my student who studies and one who teaches also. That also Bhagavan has praised. And then Arjuna afterwards will say that, okay, I'll do what you are telling me. And then Sanjay ends with what is, Sanjay had heard all the 18 chapters. What is his understanding of this Bhagavad Gita? He summarizes in 3 shlokas. So we'll end here. If there's any questions, comments, I'll put it on gallery view so we can see all the Zoom people also. There's quite a few on Zoom. So either in person or in Zoom, if anybody has any questions or comments, can't exit that participant. Yeah.
One question. Which was the verse from chapter 2 you said was the other most famous verse?
Oh yeah. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. That is what shloka number is there? No, we just did it last week. Yeah, shlok 47.
Number 47.
47. Yes, we did that last week in the chanting class. So these are the 2 most famous. Karmanyeva adhikara means your duty is to act, not worry about what you are going to get. Do the right thing. That again needs a long commentary. But yeah, if you have Swami Chinmayananda's commentary, you can listen to it. If you don't have it, we have the Bhagavad Gita available in the office, all the 18 volumes with the word by word meaning. I think somebody, if you have, Varshaben, can you show this? Yeah, this is the one you can get in the office, all 18 chapters with a word by word meaning and commentary by Swami Chinmayananda ji. So you can get that.
One question.
Yeah.
So for spiritual journey,
A little loud, huh?
For spiritual journey, we do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and the 4th one you say
is dhyana, is meditation. Or it's Raj Yoga. It's called Raj Yoga. That is meditation and yoga. So these are the 4: karma, bhakti, jnana, and then dhyan. Dhyan includes the yoga exercises and the meditation. But yoga should not only be taken as exercises, it should connect with God. So that's why yoga has 8 limbs. Ashtanga yoga, we say. Physical exercise is only 1 out of 8. But what we have done is make that alone important. They do hatha yoga and sweat yoga and hot yoga and all these different yogas. So I was hearing a comedian. He says, in India, they have different pizza, mirchi wala pizza, paneer pizza. So he says, we have done to the Westerners pizza what they have done to our yoga. So हमारे योगा की उन्होंने जो बर्बादी की हमने उनके पिज्जा की कर दी. So means all the varieties of yoga is there, but that is only one aspect. There are 8 parts. Yeah. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. There are 8 limbs of yoga, but exercise is only 1. So all those 8 together is called as Raja Yoga. Right? Yeah.
I was wondering on this one about the dharmas. Is what it's saying is like there's 2 kinds of dharmas. There's like a satya or satyam dharma, and then there's also a mityam dharma. And mityam dharma is to be abandoned.
Yeah, so what they're saying is that do not give too much importance to anitya. Anitya means temporary. These are all temporary things. Anitya. And then the other one is satya. Satya means the truth, which is correct. So that alone is important. But we spend all our life in that. And then we say after retirement, maybe at say 65, 70, I will start. Just start as whenever you hear this knowledge, start from there. So the Satya is that which is eternal truth. And that is Om. That is my true nature. And that is what one should practice. Yeah.
Is there someone else?
Anybody else? How about from Zoom? Any questions, any comments? Yeah, go ahead.
On number 64, I was wondering, there's the word taha,
Huh?
therefore. I was wondering if it has
Tataha. Yeah.
if it has, the relative clauses, if it has,
Tata means then.
companion, like it looks like it's because in the translation, like
Tatoha.
because therefore.
Therefore, yeah. Tata means then, it means therefore, yes.
What would be the other with it? One with it.
Yataha. Yataha means when.
But there's not yata. Is there yata?
It's not here. It's not. It doesn't have to be.
Okay, so it's just kind of understood then.
No,
It's there. So
no. It doesn't have to be every time.
Well, it's like in the translation, it has because therefore. So they put it into the translation.
Okay. So but it doesn't have to be there. It's understood. You can call it as understood. He says what he's saying is this is giving instructions that listen to my words because you are most dear to me. Therefore, I am explaining to you.
Because I love you.
Yeah.
Then I will tell
Oh,
you.
yeah. So he has said that because I love you.
I just wondered, just as a grammatical.
No, ataha, yataha, it doesn't have to be in every shloka. It is many times understood.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Lata, you have any question?
I should, right? I have a question. At the end, Arjuna takes up and fights the war because he was convinced by the wisdom given to him from
Right.
Arjuna. So was it his decision to fight at the
Yes.
end, or was Krishna told him to go and fight?
No, it was his decision. Bhagavan says, choose. The choice is yours.
Right.
Yathechasi tatha kuru. Whatever you desire, you do. And Arjuna will say in one of the later shlokas, Karishye vachanam tava. I am
Okay.
convinced, and so I will do what is. So I will do it. He doesn't say I will because you are forcing me, but Bhagavan has told him clearly, Yatha ichhasi. Whatever you desire, you do. If you don't after this, if you don't want to fight and go to the forest, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the 11th chapter, he said that all of these people have already been killed by me. Drona, Bhishma, Karna, none of them will survive. If you don't do it, I'll find somebody else to do it. But if you do it, you will get all the honor.
Yeah. Because that's your dharma anyway,
Yes,
right?
yes. And he's telling him that by not doing it, you will go away from your dharma, you will get infame, ill fame. People will criticize you, people will talk bad about you, and you will never forgive yourself if you go away from this dharma yuddha. It's very rare for a kshatriya to get an opportunity to fight against evil for dharma, and you have that rare opportunity. So do not shirk from this responsibility.
So in our life, we have to take up that opportunity to sort of come close to our dharma. Is that not?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
the teachings of with satsanga, religious text, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads versus hearing more of it,
right,
would reaffirm what our true dharma is.
Yes, yes. And the same ideas are repeated, in Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh. A lot of these ideas are repeated because we don't get it. Like a nail, you have to
we don't
hammer
get it.
So it's the same way again and again till we finally get it. So that's what it is. And we have this rare opportunity to listen to Puja Gurudev and study it. So let's not waste this. So we'll end here. See you next week. Yeah.
One thing. I think it's really interesting how many times Krishna, says to Arjuna that his dharma is not to grieve.
Right.
Do not grieve. I mean, he says it so many times that an important dharma that is.
Right, right. Do not grieve. Yeah. Do your duty without complaining, without grieving. Yeah. Thank you. We'll end here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayaha. सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।